Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, calls on Nigerians to vote for him in next month's election, says he's the most mentally and physically fit to restore the country's lost glory. I will give priority to education, declares APC presidential candidate Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu during his campaign in Akure, Ondo State, where he also promised to work with the state to boost his economy. Police foil attempt to kidnap the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Mr. Yakubu Sanda, from his home in Jos, the state capital. And it's victory at last for U.S. lawmaker Kevin McCarthy as he emerges House Speaker after 15 rounds of voting amid intrigue and heated exchanges.
And on business news tonight, global food prices fall for the 9th consecutive month in December 2022.
On sports news tonight, Didier Deschamps confirmed he will remain as France coach until the 2026 FIFA World Cup after leading the team to the final of the last two editions.
That's a crowd in Osogbo, the Osun State capital, welcoming the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, today, who took his campaign there, where he appealed to Nigerians not to hand over the affairs of the country to a president who is not fit to take care of it. He maintained that he is the most mentally and physically fit to restore the lost glory of Nigeria, while urging Nigerians to interrogate the antecedents of anyone who seeks their vote in the next election. He was accompanied on the campaign by his wife, his running mate, the chairman of the party, and the Director General of the Presidential Campaign Council, amongst other party leaders. Before heading to the campaign ground at the Freedom Park in the Osun State capital, Mr. Obi had earlier met with the leadership of the NLC and the TUC, as well as women and youth groups at separate town halls in Osogbo. Mr. Obi and other speakers urged the youths and women to collect their permanent voter cards and make sure they vote right, as they are the worst hit by the consequences of bad leadership. We'll have more on the Labour Party campaign later on in the bulletin. Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is vowing to make education one of his priorities if elected president. He stated this while campaigning in Akure, the Ondo State capital, where he gave the assurance on the establishment of a loan scheme to help indigent students realize their dreams. Addressing party supporters during the rally, Senator Tinubu also promised to collaborate with the Ondo State government in boosting the economy of the state.
The MKO Abiola Democracy Park in Akure, the Ondo State capital, is filled with top officials and loyalists of the All Progressives Congress as the campaign trail of the party's presidential candidate makes a stop in the Sunshine State. The roll call at the rally includes the governors of Ondo, Kano, Ogun, Lagos, as well as the Deputy Governor of Ekiti State. Also present are former Governor of Ogun State, Senator Bikunle Amosun, and that of Osun, Mr. Agboyega Oyetola, as well as former and serving National and State Assembly members. For the party, Ondo State is already secured.
We are progressive states. We
will show them who we are come February. Let's vote en masse to show them who we are. We will vote Asiwaju.
February 25th.
We need to remind people that February 25th is our presidential election. All of us must vote for APC en masse in all elections.
Assembly at the president candidate
Everybody vote for Jagaban. DJ Kodak. Everybody vote for Jagaban.
An elated Asiwaju Bola Tinubu takes to the podium to address the crowd. He promises to address the infrastructural deficiency, improve the economy, and also create job opportunities for Nigerian youths.
We will do more. Don't create conflict. Don't create enmity. We are a people of peace, progress, and prosperity. The message we bring here today is that of a renewed hope, a renewed assurance that education will receive priority in our government. A 4 years program for a degree will be a 4 years. No children of the poor will be left behind.
Afterwards, the dignitaries, led by Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State, accompanied the candidates to commission the Southwest Campaign Office of the party.
In Akwa Ibom State, the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Pastor Umo Eno, is promising to remodel tourism sites in Ikola-Abasi if elected governor in the forthcoming elections. He noted that rural development plan, as contained in his Arise agenda, will find full expression in the area. Pastor Umo was addressing a large crowd at a campaign rally at Ikola-Abasi local government headquarters.
As the 2023 general elections draw near, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umo Eno, has intensified his local government campaign tour to present his blueprint to the people. In Ikola-Abasi, thousands of supporters are gathered at the local government headquarters to register their support for the party, and Governor Udom Emmanuel meets the State Executive Council, party leaders, and other stakeholders to the event. Addressing the people, Pastor Umo Eno maintains that Ikola-Abasi is an area that is dear to his heart and assures the people of benefiting from every form of development as captured in his Arise agenda.
We are going to work and renovate and make sure that all those tourism sites are functional, they are active, because every part of our state will be developed. Our rural development policy and Ikola-Abasi left out. So that's why we came to tell you, vote the umbrella.
Governor Emmanuel thanks the people for the support he has enjoyed throughout his tenure and appeals to them to extend the same to Pastor Umo Eno, whom he describes as a man of peace.
Let me reassure you, and I know you are all aware, even last week, I've released money as a governor for us to provide remedial and immediate action so that the Federal University of Technology in Ikola-Abasi can commence immediately. And I have the assurance, the full assurance of the Minister of Education that Federal University is going to commence with immediate effect.
Pastor Eno plans to tour all 31 local government areas of the state before the general elections.
The ambition of Mr. Alex Otti to occupy the #1 seat in Abia State has received another boost following the recent support declared by the House of Assembly candidate for Isialangwa South constituency under the platform of the African Action Congress, Mr. Fine Country Iyoku. He pledged to work for the victory of Mr. Otti at the March 11th governorship election during a town hall meeting in Abia State.
The Labour Party governorship candidate in Abia State, Dr. Alex Otti, and his team are in Isialangua South Council area for a meeting with members of the African Action Congress, AAC.
Mr. Chairman, sir.
The purpose of the meeting is to reel out his campaign manifesto to the people and deliberate on how to clinch the governorship seat during the forthcoming election. Speaking on behalf of the party, the AAC candidate for Isialangua South State constituency says Dr. Oti is the only candidate that can transform Abia State.
The decision is not based on sentiments. It's based on what everybody can see. Competence is there, integrity is there, maturity is there, experience is there. Doggedness is there. The desire to transform Abia State is also present.
For a community leader and party chieftain, Dr. Oti's ideology, capacity and competence is not in doubt.
He wants to make a change in the state. And people like me who want to make a change in the state believe in people like him with competence, capacity, experience, and intellectual capability to make change for Abia State. That's why I believe in him.
Excited for the outcome of the meeting, Dr. Oti speaks more on his plans for the state if elected.
I want to assure them that they've taken the best decision and they will not regret the decision they've taken. And my message to them is that the patience they have exhibited all this while, they should continue until the change that will happen by the time they vote for us on March 11, 2023, and then a new government that will be led by Labour Party will be installed come May 29, 2023.
The team then joined community leaders to celebrate their mass return. The Labour Party is confident that it will garner even more support in the coming days, which will translate to victory at the polls.
Against the backdrop of reported attempts by political players to stop rival political parties from campaigning, the governor of Osun State, Ademola Adeleke, is appealing to politicians to embrace peace as the nation prepares for the general elections. He's preaching against violent activities, including destruction of campaign posters and billboards of opponents, as seen in the state in the last few days. He asked political parties, candidates and their supporters to imbibe the culture of peaceful campaign and not see the election as a war. In his words, election is about the people exercising their voting rights. Our job as political leaders is to market our programs and candidates to convince voters to accept us. It is out of order to propagate and employ violence as an electioneering tool. Governor Adeleke directed security agencies to arrest anyone caught destroying candidates' billboards and posters, regardless of party affiliations. In part two, after the break, police foil kidnap attempt targeted at the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Yakubu Sanda. That's in a moment. Join us again.
This is what they call 21st century. When my customer say I want to use POS, I will just bring out my phone, open the application, use this, press this code. I don't have anyone that's using POS anymore.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our major stories. Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi calls on Nigerians to vote for him in next month's election, says he's the most mentally and physically fit to restore the lost glory of Nigeria. I will give priority to education, declares APC presidential candidate Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu during his campaign in Akure, Ondo State, where he also promised to work with the state to boost his economy. Police foil attempt to kidnap the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Mr. Yakubu Sanda, from his home in Jos, the state capital. And his victory at last for U.S. lawmaker Kevin McCarthy as he emerges House Speaker after 15 rounds of voting amid intrigue and heated exchanges. Security is one of the major challenges in the conduct of the elections, and in readiness for that, the Nigerian police force has begun training its men and officers across the 6 geopolitical zones in the country. Inspector General of Police, Mr. Usman Alkali Baba, who was represented by the Commissioner of Police in charge of training, Mr. Stephen Olanrewaju, at the exercise in Abuja, notes that the police force is determined to ensure that the elections are peaceful.
The protection of election materials and personnel is essentially the responsibility of the police during the conduct of elections in Nigeria, and in order to effectively discharge this responsibility, the Inspector General of Police is flagging off this training for police officers ahead of the forthcoming general elections. The exercise, which will take place across the 6 geopolitical zones, is expected to train police officers on strategies for combating cultism, kidnapping and electoral violence, and also to ensure a peaceful conduct of the 2023 general elections.
In few weeks to come, Nigerians and the international community will be putting us to test. We want to see and assess us on the conduct of the fast approaching 2023 general election.
The Nigeria Police Force deploys officers to help maintain order and protect election materials and personnel during every election cycle. Security experts say this role of the police is almost indispensable.
It is important to point out that the Nigerian police force is constitutionally charged with the crucial role of not only preventing criminal activities and violence ahead of the 2023 elections, but also of ensuring the credibility of the outcome of the elections. Undoubtedly, the success or failure of the 2023 elections largely depends on the performance of police officers and rank and file that will be involved in the electoral process.
The Nigeria Police Force deployed over 30,000 of its personnel for the conduct of the 2019 presidential election. Although the police leadership is currently silent on how many personnel will be deployed for the 2023 general elections, one thing is clear: the activities of these officers will largely contribute to the peaceful conduct of the elections.
It was a narrow escape for the Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Honorable Yakubu Sanda, as the police foiled an attempt to kidnap him last night. A statement from the office of the state's command spokesperson explains that the incident occurred when the speaker arrived at his residence in the federal low-cost area of Jos South in the state capital. He was said to have been accosted by 3 armed personnel who attempted to forcefully gain entrance, but their mission was hindered by security personnel on duty. According to the police command, the divisional police officer and his men joined forces with the security personnel to repel the gunmen who fled the scene. The command says it's tracking the suspects to get them arrested. The governor of Bauchi State, Mr. Bala Mohammed, has applauded the Nigerian army for boldly confronting the security challenges that is being experienced in the state. He extended his appreciation while launching the 2023 Emblem Appeal Fund in Bauchi, where he was also decorated, with an appeal to Nigerians to consider regular contributions for the legionaries, as the yearly support is not enough, given their level of sacrifice in keeping the country safe.
As a person, I've never seen a brigade commander going to the bush. They are always in their comfort zones because it's not the time for war. But they are doing it for us in Bauchi with other service chiefs. We should be able to reciprocate, please. this peace is not earned on a platter of gold. People have made sacrifice. And if we show them empathy, especially to those who provided similar services in the past, they will be encouraged to do it today. So as a government, as I said, we will make amends, and we are calling on non-governmental organizations and other well-to-do individuals to make the same, so that we will contribute to the welfare of legionnaires and even our security families, because they have a lot of gaps in terms of federal funding, in terms of what they are getting from their headquarters. If we leave them like that, they will only use what they have. They cannot produce what they don't have. As a government and as people, as communities, I'm happy the representative of His Royal Highness is here. We have an obligation to partner with the security agencies. They are not going to produce miracles. We have to plug their gaps.
The Minister of State for Petroleum, Mr. Timipe Silva, seems confident that crude oil theft may become a thing of the past, citing the impact of the activities of the Joint Security Task Force Operation Delta Safe. The minister stated this in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, during a visit to the area of operation. He was accompanied on the visit by the Chief of Defence Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, and the Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited.
The Nigerian Air Force base in Port Harcourt is agog as men and officers of the Nigerian Armed Forces await the arrival of the Chiefs of Naval and Defence Staff, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, and the CEO of NNPC Limited. They are on an operational visit to the area of inspection for Operation Delta Safe, which covers the whole South-South region. One by one, the private jets carrying the dignitaries touch down on the runway, and they are welcomed by the GOC 6th Division, Nigerian Army, and other senior officers from the Navy and Air Force. There is an inspection of the guard before the dignitaries then pay a visit to the naval base, NNS Pathfinder, where Mr. Timipe Silva conveys the satisfaction of the President to the troops, before he is conducted around the jetty by the commander.
Today, I am happy to announce that I'm back again with word of commendation from your Commander-in-Chief that he has noticed and acknowledged the effort that you have made to ensure that crude oil theft is curbed.
Then they return to the Air Force base for a quick inspection of the aircraft. Speaking to the press, the Chief of Defence Staff, General Lucky Irabo, says illegal crude oil bunkering has been significantly reduced, while the Chief of Naval Staff provides an update on the arrested rogue vessel, MT Heroic Idun.
What this has indicated is that there's a need for everyone to have his hand on the plow. It's a collective effort which, more or less validates that position that together we will win. And I think we're winning.
The ship and its crew will be arraigned in High Court here in Port Harcourt for trial. And majorly is to discourage any would-be saboteurs, both within and without a great country that come to steal our common patrimony.
When quizzed on the spate of fuel queues and high cost of petrol, the NNPC and the NMDRA bosses explained it is due to a distribution problem which is being fixed.
We know there are logistic issues. We are aware that pricing today is a very, very challenging situation. We are working with the partners and the marketing companies so that a balancing can come, so that this normalcy will come.
Supply is not the problem. What we have problem, like we said last week when we had a press review, was that of distribution. Even the aspect of distribution is mainly concerning the marine movement, where the marketers are paying more for marine, to charter a shuttle vessel to move product from offshore Lagos to Calabar, Warri, Port Harcourt, Ogara, and even Lagos to Lagos. So that's one of the major issues that we have.
Operation Delta Safe is a joint security task force operation in the South-South with a specific task of curbing crude oil theft in the oil-rich Niger Delta of the country.
20 days, that's what the federal government says is left to complete work on the Kara axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. This is according to an official of the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing who says government feels the pain of motorists and is working fast to complete the job, latest by March. Our correspondent Timothy Crown, Adevibibi, has this report.
The new year 2023 and the barricades are back at the Lagos end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and that with the traffic that they bring. And this is just as motorists and commuters are beginning to enjoy the ease that a smooth traffic brings. From this point on is a smooth ride, but before getting here is a tug of war. This traffic jam is one that motorists don't seem to be comfortable being caught in.
It's bringing a lot of pain, not just some pain. It's bringing a lot of pain. See, cars don't need to be in hold up. The engine spoil is there.
There are calls for a speedy completion of this project, which they consider is taking forever to finish.
They should just do something about this road. Well, I've been on this road for the past how many years, and there's no solution still. It's so bad. They should just quickly find a solution to it.
January the 15th was the date given for work to resume on this road, but the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing says the early resumption is to catch up with time.
No, we are not really resumed. You know, before we went on for the ULITAD, we had to open this place for use. There was a section that we needed to complete, but if we should start that time, we will not be able to open on time.
And there are promises to remove the barriers to allow those on holidays return to work.
Maybe it came as a rude shock to some people that were just coming back yesterday. But if you go now, you check up to the bridge, there is no hold up on the bridge. The one we experienced is that and nothing changed. Not as if anything changed. But kind of, you know, Nigerians, I mean, just our people, when they are coming, they just see something out of apprehension. This thing developed. But today, everything has returned to almost normal. You go to the bridge now, there is no single vehicle there on the bridge. It's free. But then, that does not mean we are still not going to remove the barrier, because over the weekend, we expect more people to travel.
Hours later, the barricades are removed, but with a promise to return to work by Monday, January the 9th, 2023. But in spite of the removal of the barricade, not much ease came as the jam continues up until the new garage axis of the road. There's some blame on those collecting toll at that section. The concern of these motorists is not out of place. That's according to a psychiatrist who draws a connect between stress on the road and mental wellness.
Yes, the frustration is there, the anxiety is there, the anger, you know, transfer of aggression due to this, always irritable because of the low tolerance threshold, even for other road users. So in no time, there's verbal aggression, there's physical aggression. Okay, so if all of those things are not looked into, it happens the first time, the second time, on a daily basis. In no time, the person will actually break down mentally.
If the government keeps to its promise of completing the project by the first quarter of 2023, and that after many failed efforts, it would have been 10 years of fixing the 127.6 kilometer road. Timothy Crown, Aderebibe, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, global food prices fall for the 9th consecutive month in December. That's on Business News. Join us again. Welcome back. Nigeria's population is projected to hit over 450 million by the year 2050, a projected population that will rank the country as the third most populous in the world. This projection is already generating some concerns given its implications, one of which is the challenge of food security, especially since the country's agricultural potential remains underdeveloped. Added to this is that macroeconomic instability, skills shortage, unfriendly business environment and infrastructure deficit hamper productivity and growth in the non-oil sector. Our next report takes a look at the impact of the nation's rising population on the economic indices.
Nigeria is undoubtedly the most populous black nation in the world, with a projection of over 200 million people. This figure is projected to rise to be over 400 million by the year 2050, making it the third most populous nation in the world. However, this projected growth is generating some concerns about its possible impacts on the nation's infrastructure, economy, health, education, and security. Concerns about the need for population control are reflected in the recent appeal by the chairman of the National Population Commission, who is asking government to make family planning services available for all women.
Nigeria ranks among the countries with high unmet needs, which stands at 19%. Unmet needs for family planning, and currently married women and 48% among sexually active unmarried women also fall part of that.
According to the United Nations Population Fund, only 25 million Nigerian women have access to contraceptives. This, to a large extent, contributes to the nation's rising population. Already, an estimated 133 million Nigerians are multidimensionally poor. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics. Experts say it would take conscious effort by government to address this economic challenge.
If it's not checked, I tell you, time is coming when we'll run into fiasco. Time is coming when, in fact, Nigeria will be declared a hunger country. And that is why we are still appealing to government. In International Human Rights Commission, we don't believe in protests. We don't believe in riots. We believe in dialogue. We believe in negotiation. And so we keep appealing to government, advising them on way forward.
Nearly 45% of Nigeria's population are under the age of 15, and only 3.5 to 4% of the population is over 65 years. The nation's huge population, which could have been an asset, has now become a source of concern for many.
I am not saying that increased population is wrong. I'm saying increased population that is not commensurate with economic growth is wrong, because you have countries like Japan that are also suffering from low population growth rate. They want their population to grow. So there is a lot of benefit of having high population. But when economy is missing, then there is a lot of challenges. That is what we're facing as a nation. That is why people are creating wrong economies. That is what we call economic bad. You have seen banditry fast turning into an economy, because these people believe they should have access to a few things. Some may be rooted in religious activity, but we have seen that kidnapping and banditry has gone beyond religious belief. It's now business for some people, and I hope authority will do something about it in no time.
With renewed policies backed by action, experts say Nigeria could experience a population growth that is well cared for, with a significant number of people who will bring their expertise to bear for national development.
Now to some company news. Telecommunications giant Globacom has handed over the key to a 3-bedroom bungalow to a lucky subscriber and winner of its Season of Joy promo in Enugu State. At the presentation ceremony, the elated beneficiary, Mr. Chinonso Okoro, described the upliftment as a typical case of moving from grass to grace. He says the gift is the first house in his name, explaining that he was sleeping in a hospital before receiving the keys to his new home.
It's the Glow Season of Joy promo period, and the brand is in Enugu to reward one of its loyal customers with a brand new 3-bedroom bungalow. The selection process was conducted by the National Lottery Commission, and their representative is here to testify to the integrity of the process that saw Mr. Chinonso Okoro's emergence as winner.
My office stands for lottery. Lottery done the right way. And we are proud to be associated with Glow Company.
because they have been doing all their promos the right way.
The winner arrives at the venue with friends and family members to witness the ceremony.
Congratulations once more.
The house is officially commissioned for use, and he gets his keys and the certificate of winning. He tours the house in joy, thanking Glo for the upliftment.
I want to say, may God keep blessing them. Glo will become the best in the whole world, not just Nigeria or Africa. The whole world, they are the best.
The regional sales manager of Glo reiterates the brand's commitment to uplifting and improving the well-being of its customers.
Let's say a great percentage of his problems are already solved. So Globacom, looking at our subscribers, we want to give back. It's a Glo Festival of Joy program, and this is a festive period too, and those are the reasons why we are doing this today.
He speaks on the benefits of the Season of Joy promo and how customers can participate to win.
Rush to the nearest either Glo World or anybody who does SIM registration for Globacom, get a Glo SIM card, activate it, and start recharging. Then subscribe by dialing *611# and then recharge for whatever category you want to play. You then start recharging in that category, so that you can participate and be a lucky winner.
The Glo Festival of Joy is designed to make 20 lucky subscribers landlords, just as 24 of them will win brand new cars across major cities of the nation. Other prizes are up for grabs as well.
Ladi Williams has more from the world of business.
Thanks, Melinda. In business news, global food prices fell for the 9th consecutive month in December last year, and that's according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization. The FAO says the declining indexes in December was driven by a steep drop in international prices of vegetable oils, together with some declines in cereal and meat prices. However, despite the drop, Nigeria's food inflation currently stands at 24.13%. And it's less than 27 days to the January 31st deadline when the old Naira notes will cease to be legal tender in the country. Many Nigerians say they're yet to see, touch, or transact with the newly redesigned notes. Our business correspondent, Willie Bong, provides an update on the current supply of the new Naira.
It's been over 3 weeks since the release of the redesigned Naira notes. However, there appears to be very little supply in circulation. Several comments on social media platforms have trailed the seemingly palpable scarcity. This is also reflected by the man on the streets.
I just withdraw money from the ATM now and it's not there. And we will have till the ending of this month before they close the collection of the old money. And still now, up to now, the only money we can get from the ATM is still the old currency we have.
Since this has been in circulation, nobody has come with this to buy something from me.
Others are, however, not concerned.
To me, that's not the problem of the nation. That's not actually what will help us to salvage the insecurity, the poverty, and the rest of the thing that the nation economy is gradually dying and fading away.
At ATMs in cities such as Kano, Calabar, Owerri, and Lagos, the old notes are still conspicuously being dispensed. Could this seeming shortage in supply of the new notes be linked to its availability? The Deputy Governor of the Central Bank had to respond to this when she appeared before the House of Representatives.
Can the CBN tell Nigerians how much was printed out of this new currency? How much was printed?
I'm sorry, I'm not able to share that figure now only because I want to give an accurate number.
Even though the CBN governor had disclosed that 500 million pieces of new Naira had been ordered, the Senate is asking that the deadline be postponed to June. A view supported by some analysts.
I feel that with the current situation, we may actually see a shift, because if we are unable at this point in time, even those of us in the urban area, it should have been well circulated in the urban area before we even start seeing much in the rural area. But with the situation, even in areas where we feel a lot of business activities are going on, and the old notes is not readily available. So there will be, I feel that there will be that when CBN assess towards the end of the expiration of the old notes, they may not have any choice than to move it.
There are also allegations of fake notes, which has led to distrust of the new naira.
Since it's Nigeria money, I will, but I am afraid of it because lots of people are complaining about it, and in circulation that the money is not even up to a month now. Some are even saying that the fake is mush.
In response to this, the CBN released some security features. Will the deadline be postponed or not? Nigerians continue to wait for that while getting familiar with the security features of the redesigned notes. Will Ibong, Channels Television News.
And the domestic equities market kicked off the first trading week in negative territory as for profit-taking. Activities dragged the benchmark index lower. The all-share index dipped by 0.7% week-on-week to close at 51,222 points. Sell-offs of Airtel Africa, Boa Cement stocks drove the weekly loss. Looking at the activity levels, the total volume traded declined by 51.0%, while the total value traded decreased by 43%. Except for the industrial goods index declined, all other sectoral indices recorded gains. John Holt topped the gainers chart for the week, while champion breweries led the decliners. The trio of FBN Holdings, Boa Cement and GTCO contributed 48.85% and 63.35% to the total volume value traded in the week. And that's business news. Back to Melinda with the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Ladi. Rice tops the list of the total seizures made by the Customs Federal Operations Unit, Zone A, last year. For these seizures, a total of 170 suspected smugglers were arrested, with cases in various stages of investigation and prosecution. Speaking with journalists at Ikeja, Lagos, the acting controller of the unit, Hussein Ejibunu, explains that their operations will be driven by technology, vigor, and intelligence gathering this year.
It's the maiden briefing of the Federal Operations Units in the Southwest Zone in 2023. At the government warehouse along Toyi Street, it smuggled rice everywhere.
When you look at this tire, you will think this is spare tire, isn't it? Yes, sir. But this is not spare tire. You have rice neatly stocked inside this tire. See it. And when they get into Nigeria, these are the type that they will rebag into bags that will be labeled made in Nigeria rice.
This vehicle was intercepted along the border area. It was found to contain an ingenious concealment of rice in its compartments.
Inside engine the other time, they stock rice inside. There's nothing they cannot do.
5 pieces of tire can make one.
5 pieces of this tire will make one bag of rice of 50 kg. So you can imagine if they have like 20, 30 tires, you know how many bags that will be. And with that, they will have succeeded in outsmarting the officers. But now it's a game change plan for them because they have been intercepted and brought to justice.
Mr. Ejibunu adds that technology will soon be deployed in their operation and men of the unit have been briefed on the task ahead.
The headquarters, they are in the know on what to be done to forestall criminalities from our borders. And that is being done. There's an office here now that a tracking device for containers has already been installed. Equally to at the border, they are looking into the possibility of getting those facilities to make sure that even right from where those things are coming from, they will identify and notice what is coming in.
While some of these items were intercepted over shortfall in duty payment, cannabis sativa, cartons of shoes and used tires, amongst other products, are outrightly seized and forfeited to the federal government.
And for what's happening in the world of sports, here's Ayotunde Balogun.
Many thanks, Melinda. Welcome to Sports News. In the English FA Cup, Harry Kane has moved within one of Jimmy Greaves' Tottenham goal-scoring record with a trademark finish to earn Spurs a safe passage to the fourth round. Kane has now scored 265 Spurs goals, one behind the legendary Greaves. The Championship strugglers Blackpool humbled Premier League side Nottingham Forest 4-1. Anas Zaroury and Emmanuel Benson have both scored twice as the Championship leaders Burnley stunned Premier League strugglers AFC Bournemouth 4-2. League One side Sheffield Wednesday pulled off a memorable shock as they knocked out Premier League's third-place side Newcastle United. Crystal Palace, Leicester City, Brighton, Fulham and West Ham United all progressed to the English FA Cup fourth round. Didier Deschamps has confirmed that he will remain as France coach until the 2026 FIFA World Cup after leading the team to the final of the last two editions. Deschamps' contract expired after the World Cup in Qatar, where France lost to the Albiceleste of Argentina in a penalty shootout after a thrilling final last month. He will now oversee France's qualification campaign for Euro 2024 in Germany before focus is turned back to the qualification for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which will take place in the United States, Canada and Mexico. Roberto Martinez has reached a verbal agreement to become the new head coach of Portugal's national team. Well, the appointment of the 49-year-old Spaniard is on course to be finalized by the end of next week. Martinez, who has received interest from elsewhere in club and international football, is a free agent, having left his role as Belgium head coach after the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, which ended in a rather disappointing. Seven-time Grand Slam champion Venus Williams has pulled out of this month's Australian Open owing to injury. Venus was set to play her 22nd Australian Open after being awarded a wild card to the tournament, which begins on January the 16th. 42-year-old, twice a finalist at Melbourne Park, who is now ranked outside the top 1,000, was preparing for the tournament at the Auckland Classic, where she got injured. A world number one, Carlos Alcaraz, has announced that he will miss the Australian Open because of a leg injury during pre-season training. Alcaraz's absence means his compatriot Rafa Nadal is set to be top seed for the defense of his title at Melbourne Park. He became the world's youngest world number one since the creation of the ATP rankings in 1973 by winning his first Grand Slam tournament at the US Open in September last year. And Novak Djokovic has defeated Daniil Medvedev 6-3, 6-4 to reach the final of the Adelaide International in a highly anticipated showdown. The 35-year-old was best in the critical moments, saving all three break points he faced while converting two of his three break opportunities to seal victory after 1 hour and 30 minutes. Djokovic will meet a first-time opponent in 22-year-old American Sebastian Korda in the final. That's Sports News. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. It's back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Ayo. On the international scene, the U.S. House of Representatives now has a new speaker. Kevin McCarthy was elected early this morning after heated exchanges which almost saw fellow Republicans come to blows. It took 15 rounds of voting for Mr. McCarthy to win the job, despite his party having a majority in the chamber. The 57-year-old Californian suffered one final humiliation when Representative Mark Gatz withheld his vote on the 14th ballot as midnight approached, prompting a scuffle in which fellow Republican Mike Rogers had to be physically pulled away. This victory brought the deepest congressional dysfunction in 160 years to an end.
For all the wives and husbands, children and parents who are watching, a loved one to be sworn in, I knew it took a couple extra days. I'll be honest, it's not how I had it planned. I want you to remember this moment. Take it in. Your loved ones are about to make history. My colleagues and I thank you for your understanding, your sacrifice. And we will work every day to make you proud. Let me close with this. I may not know all of you, some of you are new, but I hope one thing is clear after this week. I never give up.
Officials have accused Russian troops of opening fire in several areas in spite of a ceasefire order by Russian President Vladimir Putin. A Ukrainian rescue worker was killed in the Russian strike. The Kremlin had ordered a 36-hour unilateral ceasefire to coincide with the Orthodox Christmas. Kiev is concerned that Moscow might use it to reinforce troops. However, Russia's defense ministry insists it's observing the truce along with the entire line of contract. It says its forces had only returned fire during the ceasefire when the Ukrainian army had attacked Russian positions. To politics back here in Nigeria, a faction of the Action Alliance led by Mr. Adekunle Omoaje is threatening to pass a vote of no confidence on the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Makbuji Kubu, for allegedly refusing to recognize Mr. Solomon Okanigbagun as its presidential candidate. Mr. Omoaje is accusing the commission and the chairman of disobedience to the court order he says has stopped INEC from recognizing Mr. Kenneth Udezi as the national chairman and Major Hamza Al-Mustafa as its presidential candidate. He was addressing journalists at the inauguration of the Presidential Campaign Committee for Mr. Okanigbagun in Abuja. I'll return to one of our top stories and listen to the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, and who went to Osogbo, the Osun State capital, for his campaign today, and his running mate, Mr. Yusuf Ahmed, where they went to tell the people why they should vote for them in next month's elections. He said that he will restore the lost glory of Nigeria while urging Nigerians to interrogate the antecedents of anyone who seeks their vote in the election next month. Some persons suspected to be gunmen armed with AK-47 rifles attacked a train station in Edo State and kidnapped some passengers who were waiting to board the train to Warri, Delta State. The kidnappers, who shot sporadically into the air before kidnapping some passengers, left some persons with bullet wounds. The area commander, Ira DPO, Ugwegem Division, and men have visited the scene of the crime with members of the Edo State Security Network, local vigilante, and hunters in order to protect the lives and properties of the other passengers. Bushcombing operations have commenced in order to rescue the victims and arrest the fleeing kidnappers. On the programming note, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, and his running mate, Mr. Yusuf Baba Ahmed, will tomorrow, that's January the 8th, be guests at the Presidential Town Hall Series, the People's Town Hall 2023, organized by Channels Television and its partners. They will take the hot seats in Abuja as they answer questions on their agenda ahead of the presidential election coming up next month. And the main news again. The Labour Party presidential candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, took his campaign to Osogbo, the Osun State capital, where he urged Nigerians to vote for him in next month's election. He said he is the most mentally and physically fit to restore the lost glory of Nigeria. And that's the news at 10 tonight.